Now we're live.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, hi. You just missed a domestic.
Domestic. We'd have to live together to have a domestic.
Yeah.
Can you have a domestic in a long
We live
distance?
together digitally. We're a
Yeah.
team. We're a partnership. You're my digital partner.
Is that right? Is
Yeah.
that right?
And you're
Well,
like, we're live. We're not live. I'm like, it says we're live. I'm like, no, we're not. And we do this because we use this new software because we need to show you things. We can't show you things with the old software. But hey, long story short, we're live now. Nice. Welcome to the FiveStack, everybody. Just your husband and husband team here.
oh,
Zevin Dean.
what are you suggesting here?
We're people's Substack live husbands,
That's true. I think we are sometimes.
boyfriends,
And we have lots
girlfriends,
of boyfriends and
Sherpas,
girlfriends who join us, which is great.
right?
Boy, we have a busy Friday. There's a lot of news happening today, and you've been so busy. You've been all over the map, talking to all these incredibly well-known people, doing fascinating things. But the Epstein story has really captured everyone's imagination today. I mean, it really is sort of the thing that everyone's talking about. I think you'll agree.
Would you be talking about the 95,000 documents that the House Democrats leaked to the public today?
Yeah,
Would
95.
you be?
They gave us 19, but there
Well, they
are.
gave us 19 pictures that people need to really give a shit about. 95,000 documents, 19 pictures, and ladies and gentlemen, this is major breaking news. This might come as a shock. There are pictures of Donald Trump with very young girls.
Well, there's pictures of Donald Trump with girls. Are they
Very
very young?
young
We
girls.
don't know. We don't know.
I'm talking about the comparison here. They're
His
very
age?
young girls / women. Yes.
I mean, we don't know. They are currently still not available to us in the form that we would like to see because they're all have been redacted for those faces, and that's important because they need to protect the faces of the people involved. But the 19
Why were they redacted?
because there were potentially survivors and potentially victims in there, but not for sure. And that's the thing is we just don't know for sure whether those people are of any too young an age. We can look at those photos. I mean, I'll pull them up right now. Where's the Trump ones? Let me see. Here's one Trump one. Underage? We don't know. Are they victims? We don't know. Do we? I mean, not as far as I know. We don't.
Yeah, I think we kind of know. I think we kind of know that these women are having their faces blacked out of this picture where Donald Trump looks very happy to be surrounded by a bevy of very young, let's just go with women, that they have either been identified and don't want their lives ruined, or they are victims. There are only two solutions to every picture of every blacked out girl in the 4 pictures where Donald Trump is seen draped around incredibly young women. Something he said he never did. Pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein smiling shoulder to shoulder, parting with Jeffrey Epstein. Something he said has never happened. The next part of what we're going to find out in the next, hopefully, week is how young these people were. Who are they? What were they doing? What they can attest to? Why they were with Donald Trump? Why these pictures that came from Jeffrey Epstein's estate that were under lock and key for Jeffrey Epstein's estate that were in his fucking vault? What else is
these
there?
in his vault? I mean, are we aware that these are the ones from?
These are from Jeffrey Epstein's vault, Jeffrey Epstein's estate. Every single picture, not only with Donald Trump and these young girls, there's another picture of him, black and white, with 2 other young ladies as well. Can't really hang on. Let me just change the picture.
That's him with somebody else that's blacked out. That's probably one of
that
the
has
most
been
disturbing.
identified as, recently read this today, confirmed, an Epstein victim. This is a victim whose face you can't see. Picture that we're looking at from a drop today from the House Oversight Committee. Democrats leaked these pictures of Donald Trump disheveled with his tie undone on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane with a victim of Jeffrey Epstein's whose face is blacked.
And some people are saying this could be Virginia Giuffre. It looks to some people like that's the side parting, the way the hair is done. This could be her. We don't know. She said she never engaged with him in any way, but this is, could be. It could be that this is who we're looking at here. I think there's a high likelihood, obviously, that these are women involved in Epstein's operation. We know that Michael Wolff was shown photographs of people or surrounding Donald Trump at a pool. Looked very young. There were stains on in certain places that made it look
The
like something
crotch
was
of his
happening.
pants.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
there's no doubt that there was photographs that Jeffrey Epstein had in his vault related to Donald Trump with women of questionable ages, but still women who could have been trafficked to him and to others in his vault. And that Wolf was shown those pictures. He also, on various occasions, suggested to Langdon Thomas of the New York Times that the New York Times should even publish some of these pictures, but then reneged on that offer. So there are photos of Donald Trump with young women. I haven't seen any that are
On Epstein's plane,
on Epstein's plane.
at Epstein's house. Donald
Yes.
Trump said he never went to Epstein's house. Listen, part of this is, everybody's looking for a smoking gun of Donald Trump with, an underage girl. They're not going to publish those photos. They can't. And there's a reason why they can't is because it's child pornography. That's why. It is disgusting, unethical, highly irregular, not supposed to do that kind of shit. But the interesting part of this dump, the interesting part about these four specific photos. There's a close up of a couple of those young women. Is that Donald Trump said none of this existed. You don't need pictures of Donald Trump doing things with young girls, videos of Donald Trump doing things with young girls, because we're not there yet. Where we're at is still challenging the notion of Donald Trump's repeated assertion, which is a lie, that he never went to Jeffrey Epstein's island, never partied on Jeffrey Epstein's jet with women, young women, or underage girls. Now we have visual proof that Donald Trump's assertion that he did none of these things, meaning didn't know Jeffrey Epstein, didn't party with Jeffrey Epstein, and a bevy of young girls that came through the Jeffrey Epstein pipeline, never happened, never would. That's why I threw him out of the club. Does this look like a guy who threw Jeffrey Epstein out of his club, which, by the way, has been debunked? He was never even a fucking member. Does this look like a guy who didn't party with Jeffrey Epstein's victims whose faces are blacked out because they are either Jeffrey Epstein's victims or people who partied with Jeffrey Epstein who want nothing to do with him? Does this look like the face of a dude who has been above board and acted as an FBI informant
No.
for Jeffrey Epstein's eventual demise? No, it doesn't. Why? Because Donald Trump flew on the plane multiple times, cavorted with these young women and young girls multiple times, was very careful not to leave a digital trail. And Donald Trump is just as guilty covering this up. Every time we get a picture, it is never innocuous because it continually unwraps that onion of Donald Trump's involvement with the Jeffrey Epstein pedophile sex trafficking ring.
And to your point, I think there's a lot more still to come. I mean, I think that there are in the FBI files.
Notice how they're getting incrementally worse.
Yes.
Yes.
And the FBI files absolutely have, surveillance video taken from behind walls, from cameras installed in these various homes of well-known people with young underage girls. This is just a part of the record right now. It exists. Now, will we see them, and is the evidence intact? Is the real question. There's lots of evidence to suggest that some of the evidence was removed after it was first taken by the FBI. And there's newer reports and really concerning stuff that the FBI has been engaged in redacting and hiding Donald Trump's presence from the FBI files. And that still remains a big question. We don't know if when these files come out, and they should come out next Friday or by next Friday, whether we're actually going to see the full files.
You
There
won't.
are lots of people who are working night and day to redact those so Donald Trump's name does not appear in those files.
Here's the great part is that the FBI isn't the only organization that has these files.
Yes.
And there are several governments around the world that have access to these files or have these files specifically that are interested in possibly not having Donald Trump partner with Russia. There are thousands of FBI agents that had access to these files in an open source document that Kristi Noem and Kash Patel literally forgot to lock down. There are way more documents, way more like hundreds of thousands of files that belong to the Jeffrey Epstein estate that the Democratic Party and the House Oversight Committee currently have. And every Friday for the past couple of weeks, I don't know if you've noticed the trend.
Yeah, I do. I noticed
We've
my
been
Fridays
getting an
disappearing.
increasingly more. The Trump Nightmare Fridays continually get ramped up. Today's was the fucking worst. Reason being is it completely assails any assertion Donald Trump has ever made about never having anything to do with any of this, because now we can see it.
Yeah, look, it's pretty obvious. It's been obvious to me for many, many years. I've been covering Epstein and Trump nonstop for 10 years, really, but 6
you.
years. Yeah, I know, poor me. But
So
I
I'm
can
trying to get you into sports.
I should. It's much more interesting, right?
Yeah.
Less
Yeah.
provocative.
Yep.
But the truth of it is, I mean, this has been going on for a very long time, and this is not just Trump. It's not just Epstein. It is a network that Epstein was creating in order to facilitate his influence of these world leaders, of these intelligence targets. I mean, these were all people that were high priority targets for many intelligence agencies around the world. Epstein was able to get to them. He was able to triangulate their power. He was able to put prostitutes and espionage operatives, spies, really is what we're talking about, in their world. And he was using all that information in order to control the government, to control politics, to control finance, to control how people were making money. Now, who was he doing it for becomes the real question. Was it just foreign intelligence agencies? Was it just foreign countries? Or was it also the mob and, the Russian-Israeli mob, particularly, to be distinct about it? What was their involvement in all of this? Because we know as well that Donald Trump is involved with that same very mob. So it wouldn't be a stretch then to say that Donald Trump and Epstein were working on the same effort to, influence American politics, to influence American intellectuals, to influence financial markets, because they were basically in the same mob together.
Yeah, dude, you nailed it. I mean, the work that you've done for the past 10 years is the amuse bouche of the work you've done for the past 10 years, right?
Yeah.
The appetizer, if you will, is this sex trafficking ring, and it sounds really diminutive to just even say that, but that's the truth. Is the reason why Donald Trump is working overtime, and this is something that I think a lot of people should take to the bank, to help Russia, as opposed to just literally put Russia out of his fucking misery.
Yeah.
Right? Donald Trump has the ability to do that today. Donald Trump has the ability and the power to say, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go all in Ukraine. Let's get a regime change in Russia. Let's put, someone in there who's who is a, someone that wants the EU to succeed. Let's bring Russia into the EU. Like, he has the chance to literally stop world wars, stop the Russian threat. Russia is a podunk trailer park European country.
Mm-hmm.
Russia is on the verge of fucking collapse. Russia has the same GDP as Italy, and he won't do it. He could be the most powerful man in the world, and he won't do it. Why? Because Donald Trump knows that Russia has their hands on this and much, much more. And Donald Trump knows that if he sells out Russia, he's going to have to sell out Netanyahu. If he sells out Putin, I'm going to have to sell out Netanyahu. And he won't do it. And I want everybody, because I'm not here for some kind of political bias.
Yeah.
I'm not here to grind Donald Trump because he's a rapist, fascist, felon president who is trying to destroy America with every stroke of the pen and every dumb fucking rant, dementia-laden rant. I'm interested in justice for victims and giving America back to Americans. What we're looking at here are the rest of the pictures. There's Woody Allen with Larry Summers. There's Richard Branson with Jeffrey Epstein. Woody Allen and Larry Summers on Epstein's plane. There's Jeffrey Epstein with Donald Trump at a party, shoulder to shoulder. There's Donald Trump with a bunch of very, very young women
Mhm.
whose victims, most likely, faces blacked out. There is,
It's Larry
Larry
Summers
Summers,
again.
who is Larry Summers
And
is
Woody Allen.
and Woody Allen. I mean, like there is. I don't give a shit who voted for who. I don't give a shit what party any of these people were in. There's Bill Gates. There's Woody Allen. I mean, there's Bill Gates getting on the plane. You just saw it. There's Woody Allen with Jeffrey Epstein having a nice dinner in Jeffrey Epstein's mansion
Yeah.
with an unnamed blonde woman. Again, there's Epstein with Donald
I
Trump
think
having a
that's actually,
fucking great time.
what's her name? I can't remember her name right now. She was married to the mutual fund guy, and I'll come back to
No
me.
idea.
Sorry, forget about it. And it's
There's
Bill
Bill
Clinton.
Clinton.
No one's afraid of showing you Bill Clinton's face here. We're going to show you Democrats. We're going to show you Larry Summers. There's no
There's
problem
Steve
there.
Bannon. Steve Bannon. Do
This
you see that
Steve
picture?
Bannon
Yeah,
thing.
you see the picture on Jeffrey Epstein's desk. There's Steve Bannon with Jeffrey
Let me
Epstein.
pull it back
This
up
is
here. We can see
right
it.
before. Yeah. Get the big picture of it. Right before Jeffrey Epstein got arrested, there's Steve Bannon in the war room with Jeffrey Epstein trying to do a video to absolve Jeffrey Epstein of his involvement in his own trafficking of thousands of children.
Yeah.
And there's a picture on the actual desk. If you can't really zoom in, but
No.
I would encourage everybody to do it. It's of Jeffrey Epstein laying face down on what appears to be the face of a woman.
This is the picture that you're seeing right under the lamp over there.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can actually get that for us, but it's going to take me a second here. But keep going. What's the picture of?
It's hard to tell, but it looks like Jeffrey Epstein between a couch and an ottoman with a woman on the ground, and Jeffrey Epstein in a robe laying on, the front of the woman. It's hard to make out. You see some legs. It's really, really fucking weird and gross.
Mhm. I mean,
Um,
this is
and,
all over his home. This was what they found. I mean, they found sex toys. They found all the weirdest photos and images, lots of massage tables. And so these guys who are coming to his home that, would not have been surprised, shouldn't have been surprised by what was going on in there. They came to his home for that reason. It was their Playboy playhouse. This is where they
Mhm.
all went because they knew they could have their sex and supposedly not be in any danger of being caught. I mean, how stupid would you have to be? But, these are men who were clearly interested in being with these women, and Jeffrey Epstein lured them into that house. And of course, you can imagine why they all felt secure because everyone else was there. And so, why would one person tell on the other person if they were all present?
Right.
And
Yeah.
all,
I mean, that is the horrific beauty of the honeypot scam behind Jeffrey Epstein's formula about controlling women, controlling young girls, putting really powerful men and women around the world, elites, in a position of disadvantage by making sure that he literally every room in his mansion, and he had like an AV room in his mansion. He had a giant safe, thousands of pictures, videos, hard drives, thumb drives, CDs of people who spent time in that house.
yeah,
And if you remember correctly, according to the timestamp data of this picture of Epstein with Steve Bannon, this is a matter of like 2 to 3 days before Jeffrey Epstein was literally arrested and sent to MCC prior to him dying.
yeah. Do you think I
Because
think he knew.
Steve Bannon was helping him with this video, this movie, where they were going to attempt to frame Donald Trump with all the pedophilia and try to absolve Jeffrey Epstein of any of it. And that's what this picture is.
Wait, say that again to me? I'd not heard that before. So you're saying that they were going to frame Donald Trump
Correct.
with all these evidence of pedophilia
Correct. Yeah,
as the
yeah. They were
president,
going to frame
they were
him
gonna try to take
as
him down.
yeah, dude. It is. If you've read any of the Epstein files, if you go and read the Unpaid Panic writer Ellie Leonard, who's
Yeah,
done
I
an
read her.
incredible
Of
job
course,
taking this stuff down.
last night we were on together for
Yeah,
an
I know.
hour. Yeah.
It was incredible,
Yeah.
actually. The Lair, your latest in the Greatest Heist series, it was awesome to watch. Actually, everybody should go watch it. Become a paid subscriber. Narrative.org right now. Don't run.
But
Walk.
this is a massive story. You're suggesting that there was a. I didn't get Ellie to say this last night. I don't think I heard her say this. Did she say, or do you think she's reporting that there was a plot to frame Donald Trump with all the pedophilia and all these underage girls here to frame him?
1,000%. It wasn't that she said it. If you go and read some of these emails, the reason why they did this video, it was, or that they were going to do this movie and had this brainchild for Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein to start a fund for women who were abused or young girls who were trafficked and abused in a home. They were going to fund a home for these people. It was because nobody understood that Donald Trump was just as guilty. And the effort here was to not only absolve Jeffrey Epstein, but then to also point that pedophilic howitzer at Donald Trump. It's all in their conversations. If you've read,
I've read a lot of those, and
yeah,
I'm wondering why you don't just see it as an effort by, uh, do you think this is the reason he was arrested? Do you think this is the ultimate reason that Jeffrey
yeah, I
Epstein
do.
was taken
Yeah,
down?
yeah, yeah, I do. I believe that these two cats, Bannon and Epstein, were working on something to throw Donald Trump under the bus. At the same time, try to paint Jeffrey Epstein as a government operative who was only trying to do what was best for the United States of America. And he was about to tell everything, which is why he's no longer with us.
Why
That's
would
why
they
he's killed.
do this? I mean, considering the fact that they had a president in the White House who was under their control because they had all the compromise on him.
Well,
Why
because
do you
Jeffrey
think
Epstein knew that they were coming for him. Like he clearly knew they were coming for him. If you read
they, I
the
mean,
emails back and
they knew
forth
that there was
between,
he absolutely knew ahead of time that there was an
yeah,
arrest coming. But I don't know if they were looking to. I mean, it's interesting you're saying that you believe that I didn't read that in those emails, but if you did, that's good. That there was an attempt to frame Donald Trump with all this evidence. Not frame because he was involved in this, so maybe it's not really framing, but
no, it was just to produce as much evidence as they could, kind of put a kettle on the information around Epstein and his involvement, create a narrative around it. It's all in these Epstein emails. Create a narrative around it that everybody enjoyed themselves. And that's the delusional part of Epstein's thinking and Bannon's thinking as well. Bannon was only in it for the money. And he was like, "Yeah, I can do this for you. I can save your reputation. I can save your life. I can do that. Yeah, yeah. We'll do a video. We'll do a movie about your time and the war and what you were trying to accomplish and working with other governments. Da 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 da. To blunt the public narrative about him, and to point that spotlight at other people, specifically Donald Trump. If you've read some of these emails,
so I'm trying to find the actual ones you're referring to, and I'm looking through a whole bunch of my own here while we're talking because I didn't read any accusations against Donald Trump, and I've asked Ellie to join us here, but it would be. I mean, sure they did not like Donald Trump. Sure that they were all very aware of what he. But he
well,
also
how many
he,
emails between Michael Wolff and Jeffrey Epstein talk about how Donald Trump was the dirtiest? Donald Trump
absolutely.
was the
He
worst.
also said in
Michael
one of the
Wolff
emails that he had.
suggesting that you could sell him down the river by producing this information,
And yet he
and
never
then
did.
the
And yet
pivot
he
to
never did.
working with Steve Bannon.
He always
Oh,
said,
well,
"I'm
he
not
of
going to do
course he
that. I'm not
didn't.
stupid enough to do that." That's what in the emails. I mean, he's not. So
No, he might not be stupid enough, but was he desperate enough? That's the question. Like this picture, this meeting, these emails around him, and then the Michael Wolff emails going back and forth. They told a different story to me, other than the one that we're not talking about, which is how on earth would a delusional Jeffrey Epstein think in any point in time that it might be to his benefit to point that pedophile spotlight at Donald Trump and other people. But you keep in mind, like Jeffrey Epstein knew the weight of the world was bearing down on him. Jeffrey Epstein knew and was looking for advice from guys like Michael Wolff. What do I do? How do I paint this? What's the goal? And then, a year and a half later, things pick up. He's working with Steve Bannon on a movie to try to absolve him of 30 years of pedophilia. Well, if you look back at the emails with Michael Wolff and the conversations that Jeffrey Epstein had with Steve Bannon, there was no love for Donald Trump.
no, not at all. But
None.
no matter what he tried, Michael Wolff tried this, and I believe others, Langdon Thomas tried this as well. They said, "Release these photos. Let's get these things out." They did not, at the end of the day, agree to do that. He did not think it
So
was a
let me
good
ask
idea.
you a question. What was Jeffrey Epstein talking to his lawyers about and other people about in MCC? You and I both know the answer to this question. He was telling the story.
I think once he was arrested, yes, he was telling the story.
Mm-hmm.
And once he was arrested, he was letting everybody know exactly what was going on. I think that algorithm on his blackboard was a definitive, a message to everybody. This is what I was doing. This is almost like a confession that he left on his blackboard. I know from Stephen Hoffenberg that he was cooperating with authorities in those last days of his life when he was in MCC. And I know he was doing it for various reasons. Some as simple as wanting more comfortable accommodations, but others being really concerned about what was going on. And I also know that Bill Barr had an unusual interest in this case, first recusing himself and then unrecusing himself to be involved in it. He may have even visited MCC, according to some reports. All these things make you think, well, this is unusual to say the least, that he was doing this kind of stuff knowing how much jeopardy he would put his life in, and maybe it's exactly why it cost him his life, because he was singing the way he was. To get access to MCC, to kill somebody the way he was killed, is very difficult. It's not something anyone could achieve unless you had enormous influence and enormous power and money.
Like, unless you're the president of the United fucking States.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And I know the morning that Stephen Hoffenberg, when I spoke to him the morning Epstein died, he said to me, I told him about Epstein's death. He said to me, well, he didn't. He just panicked. The immediate thing was he was panicking. He was so nervous that they were going to come for him. And the first thing I asked him was, who's going to come for you? And he said, Trump. Trump's going to come for me, like he came for Jeffrey. And this was not even like this was not a feigned fear. This was not panic. This was nothing more than just, I am in real life danger here because the president of the United States is going to try and eliminate me. And
Occam's razor.
Yeah.
The first explanation is usually the easiest.
Yeah.
No one knew more about Donald Trump's predilection for sexual deviancy than his best friend, Jeffrey Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody recorded Donald Trump in positions of questionable positions.
Yeah.
Than Jeffrey Epstein. Bill Barr recuses himself, unrecuses himself. A couple of days later, Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Jeffrey Epstein, days before, up until the day he was arrested, working with Steve Bannon on a movie to absolve him of responsibility. Michael Wolff's suggestion on how to get leverage and scare the shit out of Donald Trump or take him down. All of these things matter. And I think it's the easiest explanation. And I'm not going into that explanation or my understanding or opinion. This is my opinion.
Yeah.
Based on one email or any bias whatsoever. The last several months, we've been getting these document dumps. And if you've been paying attention, we see a concerned and paranoid Jeffrey Epstein getting ready to push responsibility off of himself. But to do that, if you understand this world, you got to push it on to somebody else. The one guy in every single one of those transmissions that was mocked, that was called the dirtiest, the worst perpetrator of these crimes was Donald J. Trump. It stands to reason that Jeffrey Epstein died because he was getting ready to tell the world to save his own skin. There's no fucking courage in Jeffrey Epstein. I'm glad he's dead. To tell the world about Donald Trump.
At the end,
makes more sense to me than anything else.
At the end, I don't know if it happened before he was arrested. I can't tell, but it's an interesting proposition, and it's what you're saying doesn't make me think it lines up with what he did at the last few days of his life. Mm-hmm. But I am yet to see those tapes, and I think that Bannon needs to release those tapes, because if that's the case, it is proof then that that's what Donald Trump was doing. And if Michael Wolff has all this evidence, and if Bannon has all this evidence that they're not releasing publicly, you got to ask, why aren't they doing that? I mean, this is, this would be detailed information about what Donald Trump would.
Well, I think you know why they're not doing that. I mean, there's so many of us that have gone around in circles trying to figure out whether or not Donald Trump is guilty of pedophilia, rape.
He's guilty.
Can we? It's time to put those illusions that Donald Trump might be telling the truth away.
Yeah.
These pictures show him with these victims, alleged victims. The stories that we have aggregated out of these emails and these document dumps tell the fucking story. The one that he is, as well as, you know what else tells the story? The one that he is trying to block from being told desperately. Desperately. The one he had thousands of FBI agents scour to take his name out of. The one that he said doesn't include him with pictures at Epstein's on planes with Epstein, all these other people. They clearly show him there. They clearly show him on the plane. They clearly show him with women in various states, if you will. They clearly show him. And over the last 3-4 Fridays, we've been getting increasingly more salacious pictures, and we've been getting videos. Now we're starting to understand the truth. The truth is that Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein. How far are you willing to go? And partied with Jeffrey Epstein, and partied with victims, and hung out with victims, and had a relationship with him for decades. And we're to assume the private emails from the estate calling him the dirtiest, the worst of the entire group of pedophiles and rapists. We're just going to take Donald Trump's word for it? Fuck off.
I don't think we can take Donald Trump's word for it at all, but I want to see the evidence. If Jeffrey Epstein from his grave has video out there that can prove that Donald Trump is everything you're saying he is, why haven't we seen that? And whether it's because he has to or because someone forces him to, Bannon should be releasing that content. I mean, it seems insane that he has evidence like this, especially considering that he weaponized a lot of the Trump allegations. I'm just researching some of the archives right now that, Bannon attacked Trump with the Epstein allegations during the Roy Moore controversy. So we're looking back at the Ivanka was criticizing Moore. If you remember, he was running in what is it? Which seat was that again? This was Tennessee or Kentucky or something like that. He didn't last long in the Senate.
Roy Moore was it Kentucky or Oklahoma?
I don't know, one of those.
That was the guy that had a 14-year-old girlfriend in the 80s who he liked to pick up at the mall.
And Bannon responded to Ivanka by saying, this is according to the House Oversight Committee, what about the allegations about her dad and that 13-year-old? And this is the allegations that, in fact, involved Jeffrey Epstein. This is the story around Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein and Katie Johnson at 13 years old, who, unclear where Katie is right now. But there were legitimate claims made in a court of law suggesting that Trump and Epstein raped her. In fact, there was a really interesting email that Ellie raised just yesterday, in which he's talking to somebody else. This is years later. This is Epstein talking to somebody else, and I'll try to find the email, though it's a bit. Maybe it's here. Let me just pull it up because it is available to us. This email here is really fascinating. This is Epstein talking to Paul Krasner, and I can't tell the full scope of this conversation, and it's a bit cut off here, but you can see it the response here from Jeffrey Epstein to this notion that there was a rape at a pedophile party. The allegation was not at a pedophile party. This is about Epstein and Trump's essential rape or potential rape of Katie Johnson. He says, it was at my house with me. So, is he in fact admitting there that this particular allegation that Donald J. Trump raped somebody
seems to be right
was not at a pedophile party, as was alleged in part of this court's case affidavit. He says it was at my house with me. All those things are true. So that these emails came out in this order, and these are real emails, these authenticated emails. We're not saying that he is definitely raped anybody or that there was an actual rape. But then we go on to Bannon going to Epstein for money, because now he's out of cash, right? So then he goes to I'm doing this on the fly, so you'll have to forgive me as I'm researching archives and pulling things up here on the fly. But then there was the moment when where is this thing? So Epstein goes to Bannon. This is from the article forwarded to Epstein on August the 2018. So this is an article that appeared, I think, in Page 6. And Steve Bannon is photos of him walking in to walking in to see Jeffrey Epstein at his mansion. And this is obviously one of these articles that they placed or someone placed. It sounds like Bannon placed this because he says, why are they going? Why is he there? Bannon needs money to bankroll the political agenda. Epstein has plenty of that. Now, is he working with Bannon to, fund this release of this content as you're suggesting?
Yes. Yes.
That's what you're saying?
Why else were they doing the movie that stopped immediately when he got arrested and then sent to MCC and was summarily dispatched, whether or not he did it or someone else did it? Why else was he doing the movie? That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that Steve Bannon is not a journalist. Steve Bannon is not a muckraker. Steve Bannon is Roger Stone with way more shirts on.
Yeah.
Steve Bannon is an operative who takes money from people to fuck over other people. That's all Steve Bannon is. That's what Breitbart is. Steve Bannon knows how to create media around something and make it almost the unbelievable believable. And that is what Jeffrey Epstein in that picture that we had up there for a long time was trying to get Bannon to do for him. According to these emails, according to their conversations, it is, how do you help me create some kind of movie or some kind of video that not only makes me look good, but passes off judgment for what happened to someone else? That is the tenor of those emails. It is not about anything else other than that. So who would they pass judgment off on if you looked at all of those emails, how they mocked Donald Trump, called him the worst, called him the dirtiest, said he needs to go down, you can take him down, him and Michael Wolff. You want leverage over Donald Trump? Here's what you do that fit into the plan in this movie to create some type of moving historical document where Jeffrey Epstein didn't look like the chief pedophile of the worst child pedophile trafficking ring in the history of humanity. And it was to point the finger at the president of the United States. And that went on prior to Donald Trump's the end of his first term. And Jeffrey Epstein obviously died prior to the end of Donald Wood, 2019, I think is when he died. Died a year before Donald Trump left. And all Donald Trump has been doing since then is trying to outrun accusations, memories, pictures, firsthand accounts. All Donald Trump has done since then is employ the entire muscle of the United States government to prevent anyone from digging any further into his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Which brings us back to Katie Johnson. I mean, really, this is an interesting case. You had she was threatened by all accounts. This was also part of a court document filed at the New York Southern District by Lisa Bloom, if I'm not mistaken. When they were pulling the case, they said that they were pulling the case because she was being threatened. This was Katie Johnson was being threatened. It was just days before the election, and she felt her life was in jeopardy, and others in her family were in jeopardy, and she was going to withdraw the case and not do the press conference that she was going to appear in, where she was going to reveal the details of what happened between her, Donald Trump, and Jeffrey Epstein in this alleged rape that happened in Epstein's home, as he pointed out in that email. Which means that on the
and by the way, now we have pictures of Donald Trump in Epstein's home, which he said he never visited.
Right.
And on his plane.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is the other thing we have is Maria Farmer, who told me just 2 weeks ago, or at least in interviews that I've done with her in the past, she has mentioned to me that Donald Trump used to visit Jeffrey Epstein regularly at the offices, not at the house, because he couldn't go to the house because his wife Ivana was often at the house. Ex-wife Ivana was often at the house with Ghislaine. So he had met Epstein in at the offices of the Olympic Tower, which were across the road from the cathedral there in Manhattan. And that is important too, because there's no record of who visited Jeffrey Epstein at his offices. That's just never been revealed by anybody. But it could be that those two people met regularly, as people have told me, in the evenings at odd times, sometimes with other people at the offices of Jeffrey Epstein at JE and Associates. So, there's much more perhaps than we realize to how many times Epstein and Trump were together. Then
Mm.
and then you get to this
You
incredibly
think so?
well, of course I know so, but I'm trying to still be the news guy around here. But there are, just can I read you these allegations? I
Yeah,
know some of them are a bit tawdry, and no one wants
please.
to. But this is from Katie Johnson versus Trump and Epstein, federal court case 516 CV 00797 DMGKS. The document House Oversights. That's where it comes from. And shortly after this is the allegation. Shortly after the sexual assault by the defendant Jeffrey E. Epstein on the plaintiff, Katie Johnson. Plaintiff Johnson was still present while the two defendants were arguing over who would be the one to take Plaintiff Johnson's virginity. The defendant, Donald J. Trump, was clearly heard referring to defendant Jeffrey E. Epstein as a Jew bastard as he yelled at defendant Epstein that clearly he, defendant Trump, should be the lucky one to pop the cherry of plaintiff Johnson.
These are real court documents.
This is the actual court document. By the way, Ellie's just joined us. So hi, Ellie. How are you?
Hi. Good.
Thanks
How
for
are you?
jumping in here.
What's up, sister?
Nothing. Just tried to go to work today, and it was like, nope, can't do that.
Epstein got either way. It's really
That's because
hard.
Dean and Zev just sent you a link.
Yeah. Well, I was
They
assuming
know I'm quitting in like 7 days, and so they're like, we're just gonna dump it all before then.
Yeah, they do it on
Smart
purpose
girl.
just to get you.
Are you
I
going
didn't
full
even
time
call
on
you this morning
Substack?
because I thought you were at
Ellie?
work.
So, Ellie, sorry, real quick, are you going full time on Substack? Is that what you're doing?
Yes, full time on Christmas Eve.
As she should, because she's an important voice. You are such a gem of a human being, and also a gem of
God.
Substackers.
Congratulations! Yeah, we love you. You are so good. Panicked unpaid writer Ellie Leonard. Everybody needs to go and follow. Now she's just paid. Panicked and paid. Panicked writer. Help us settle something here. Okay. I'm of the opinion that Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon were working on a documentary to basically frame Donald Trump as being way worse than him. According to the Michael Wolff emails, according to every interaction, and I get a lot of that summary and thesis from your work. Thoughts?
I think the Bannon Epstein relationship really parallels the Michael Wolff Epstein relationship, where there was an intent to begin with, what they wanted to do with this documentary and what they wanted to do with the journalism side of things, and I think they got too enmeshed in each other as like bros, and it just went in a completely different direction. So I think that intent was there, because when they first really started to become friends, Bannon was very disgruntled because he'd just gotten kicked out of the White House. And so he was basically, they were there to commiserate about like how much they both didn't like Donald Trump. And so there's a lot of that good stuff in their emails about how like the administration is going on despite Donald Trump. Like he's there, but he's really running nothing. And so but then I just read something today that he's still planning on releasing this documentary next year, which would be super wild. But I also don't want I want the uncut version. I don't want it edited at all.
Yeah, you're not getting that.
But do you think it was designed to reveal Donald Trump as a pedophile, or whether it was just going to be an attempt to, reframe Epstein and reframe Trump in the same way, but not as much of a bombshell as it could have been? I mean, I don't know if they were going to reveal the photos or talk about what really happened with Katie Johnson or anything like that. I mean, would that have been? Is that anything they discussed, that they were talking about? For making him the fall guy, if you will, for all of this. Not fall guy; it's the wrong word. But
I think there's mention of that, but I think Bannon and Epstein had two different intents with this documentary. I think when it was going on, Epstein was at the height of his paranoia. He was becoming very isolated. He's paying these, tens of thousands of dollars every month to like wipe Wikipedia clean. And I think Bannon was kind of like, in his own mind, he's like stepping up the ladder without the White House. He was stepping up politically. So I think his intent may have been more to take down Donald Trump, but he also there's this weird dynamic between the two guys where at some point Epstein's higher and Bannon is trying to do everything to please him and grow and be like Epstein. And then it sort of shifts and Epstein starts wanting to be like Bannon and have this kind of vicarious life that Bannon is going off and meeting with all these, the crown prince and all these people, and he's kind of like missing out, and he's sort of telling him how to do this from afar because he knows that he's under surveillance at this point. He knows an arrest is probably impending, and so I think in Epstein's mind it was to clear his image. Everything was to clear his image. He wanted to be who he used to be without all these allegations. And Bannon is just a little trickier. I don't totally know what his intent was. I know originally in the beginning, he really just wanted to get back in the White House and be involved in intelligence. And he knew that Epstein was a guy that had a history of rumored intelligence work. But I don't know what it morphed into. It just became this very weird, like, bro relationship where I was saying to Zev yesterday, like, when you hear him talk to Michael Wolff, like the academic level of the conversation is so much higher than when he switches over and talks to Bannon. It just like kind of goes downhill, and they just sound so dumb. Like they just sound like a couple of high school kids, and I don't know if there was really an end game for it. I don't know. I don't really know.
Well, to your point, and that part of the interactions and emails that we've seen with Epstein and different people, how he's kind of a chameleon. He would change how he would talk to different people.
Yes.
And the Bannon emails, according to your work, and you've done incredible work in this capacity. The Bannon emails really lean into the Wolf emails and are very similar to me. And I think if I'm to kind of underwrite a narrative when it comes to both, is there was this delusion that Jeffrey Epstein was being fed by Bannon, by Michael Wolff, that somehow he might be able to get out from underneath this. He might be able to curate a better reputation, right? And Jeffrey Epstein, as delusional as he was, because obviously, you live the life that he led. You've got coverage from the FSB and Mossad and the CIA. You think you might be able to get away with fucking anything. And his concern was Christian families. How is this going to play with the Christian base? Which I thought was really fascinating because they broke it down into demographics. And the goal was, how do we get more people to like me? And Bannon fed that fucking wolf. Like Bannon literally, and I know Bannon was interested in the money and stuff like that, but Bannon also spent a lot of time shit talking Donald Trump and trying to say, hey, you can get out from underneath this by effectively, doing and selling that man out. And that was sort of what I got from the Michael Wolff emails as well, is like, hey, you know what, if your goal is to make people think that you're not as bad as people think you are now, what you have to do is point that in a different direction. And then so that was sort of the impetus for the conversation that we had in the FiveStack, which is now turned into a one stack, because there is so much that has come from these pictures that were dumped today. When you combine them with some of the work of independent journalists like yourself, Annalee Leonard, the panicked writer, it makes so much more sense to me that Jeffrey Epstein was deluded to the fact where he thought Steve Bannon might be able to paint him as a champion for young women and might be able to point the finger at somebody. I know, fuck it, it was amazing, amazing.
Which again is parallel to the Michael Wolff stuff, because like Michael Wolff was doing the same thing with him, where he's like talking about this Woody Allen story and how he's like helping bring Woody Allen. We need to talk to Soon Yi and make it look like a love story and bring back his reputation. Like they're trying to fix all these like Me Too cases all over town, and it's so oblivious to reality. Like when you're listening to Steve Bannon talk about his filming, you would think that he was like the biggest filmmaker in Hollywood. Like
Coppola,
he just thought, yes, and it's like he's like, I don't think we can film this weekend because my filmmakers are so busy on another project. And
I mean, he's done some films. He's done some. He came out of Hollywood. He had.
I know.
There's a history there, but I don't think they were trying to take down Trump per se, because I just didn't see in the emails any attempt, and there were many attempts to convince Jeffrey to do that, to reveal all these images. He always turned it down. He always said, I'm not stupid enough to do that. I'm not stupid enough to get Don angry at me like that. So, I mean, maybe he was just saying that to whomever he was talking to, but we know he had some proof of some things. Some of it might be coming out right now. But
by the way, Rep Garcia just basically said, we've only shown you the PG versions of what are in those files,
Very disturbing.
and
he
there's
said.
way more coming out, and it is incredibly
There's
disturbing.
95,000 pictures.
I know.
When I saw that this morning, I was like, wait, because I thought that's what they dropped today, and I was like, ah.
I'm going to be up till
but
4 a.m. That's what you probably thought.
for the next 3 years.
It is very weird. Every time one of these dumps comes, it's like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Panic.
Well,
I
and that's why
have the-
why I kite off of Ellie's work. That's why I tell everybody to go and check out Ellie, because I'm like, I'll just wait a couple days,
Just the
and she's
pack
going to go.
mule. I've got the alerts from the house oversight on my phone, and anytime something pops up, I have this little momentary panic, and I'm just like, I'm not ready. I need to get through what I have, because I think about what we've already seen, these 23,000 files, but we had the 30,000 before that, and I've never really gone through those 30,000 files. I don't really know what's in there, but they've been out for a really, really long time. So in the back of my head, I'm going, oh, it's probably not that big a deal. But then it's like, who's gone through them and vetted them? I don't know. I mean, do we already have
a lot of people have. I do it through AI because I think it's just a much the volume is so ridiculous.
Because you're lazy?
Get 8 hours of
Why don't you
sleep
just
at
say
night.
that?
I wouldn't say it's easy to set up an AI database mining system that is accurate and gives you context in the way that it works. But because it took me a long time to do that, it may have been easier to read all the emails. But
I don't know.
what I like about that is being able to. I mean, my memory at this age is like a sieve. I can remember things for a day or two.
Oh, that's nice. It's so AI is your digital cane. That's great.
It's my digital. It's my absolute crutch that I'm on all the time. So, anytime I have a question or I need to find a document, I ask AI, and thank God for AI in these instances, because I don't think the flood that's coming in the next few days is you can do without AI.
I am going to try.
I bless your heart, and I will be there with you along the way. But it's the cross-referencing and the ability to really drill down to the details is so helpful, because it gives you
timestamps, metadata, all that stuff's included, right? So sorry, Ellie, go ahead. You wanted to say something?
Oh, well, I was just going to say, I think my brain has been, just because I've done a lot of transcripts for the past, I don't know how many years I've been doing it, 12 years. My brain is sort of wired to like type and listen to these interviews and then go, something will click and I'll go, wait, I remember something about that from another interview. I don't know when it was or where it was, but I can then look back through my documents and search for that specific phrase and it'll pop up. And my brain is still doing that with these now, where things will pop up that you say in an interview or that I read in a document and I go, wait, hold on. I remember somebody said something in an email. And then I can just go back, because I'm typing up these emails. I can just go back and just search that term on my computer, like on Microsoft Word, and it'll find the spot where that pulls up, and then I can start to link these things together. I bet the
act of typing it out, the transcribing part of it, is very effective at absorbing everything, because you're actually, you're putting it out in a way that allows you to
bringing
own
it in
the word.
multiple means.
That's very effective. It must, because you must be able.
It's also very time consuming.
How many words a minute do you type, Ellie?
Like 120.
Wow.
I'm really fast. It's like my one skill.
It's a good skill.
I'm a solid 12, by the way.
Nice.
I type with
12 words a minute
on either hand. That's what I type. So maybe
she said, I know, like she was very unimpressed.
No, I'm just like, I'm thinking about like what I always have this fear of, like, what if I broke an arm or like a finger, like I chopped off a fingers. I don't know. Like, what would I do? I'd have to learn how to compensate.
Dictate. So just so you know, I dictate everything. Absolutely everything. I dictated into my phone, and I'm like, okay, I need you to do this now. Oh yeah. Dictations.
But I'm an editor, and I need all the punctuation to be right.
Yeah, I don't care about it.
What I love about your emails, in your transcription of the emails, is you transcribe all the spelling mistakes, which I think is fantastic for you.
I think there's a lot of psychology behind the mistakes, like just using just random commas. They space like 12 spaces, and then they just put a comma in, even though there's no sentence around it. Like, it means nothing. Or they'll use like a quotation mark as a question mark, or like it's just a sentence and then you get Jonathan Farkas, of which I haven't even posted his. He uses no punctuation. He just writes for 3 pages with 0 periods, 0 question marks, 0 cap.
It's like a Trump Truth Social tweet. Is the same thing. Yeah.
It is interesting psychology.
The bummer thing is that Trump doesn't email. That is the biggest disappointment in this whole process, is he does not email.
But I can tell you this, today he's probably going, fuck, thank God I don't email.
It's true, because there would be so many incriminating things out there today about him. we should probably wrap it up because look, it's 4 o'clock. It's the end of the show.
Yeah.
And the
Thanks,
weekend.
Ellie. I just
Yeah.
real quick,
Yeah.
if anybody has not followed this young lady, you have to. I don't suggest, like I had Ken Harbaugh on the show today, Dr. Angela Rasmussen the other day. I only ever endorse people who I know will not let you down. Ellie is a bright light in a dark sky and does so much work to bring you information, context, and in a way that she's not trying to curate a narrative. She's only trying to inform you. So everybody, the panicked unpaid writer, or now the panicked paid writer. However, Ellie Leonard is
writer, I think it is.
one of those people that needs to be in your life. Ellie, thanks for the work
Thank
you
you.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about to get real annoying in about 7 days because I don't have to go to work anymore. So,
Oh, you mean it's about to set you free?
Isn't that amazing that
Autonomy
you've
is the best.
actually?
I mean, the level of like random posts in the notes will get a little incessant. I'm betting.
So you've
why
timed
we're
your Freedom Day to Epstein release day. I think that's remarkable.
Isn't that? I planned that.
Did you?
Yeah, totally.
Did you
No.
know? That would make sense actually,
Good
but
for you. She said no.
If
Just
I
fucking
planned it,
lie,
I would have
Ellie.
been home today.
but then
No.
you've got this incredible fate thing happening because isn't it amazing that it fatally happened that way, that you are now going to be
Yeah.
free on the day Epstein, so you're going to be full of work that day. But anyhow,
I know, I'm
Ellie
trying.
is amazing. Ellie Leonard, the incredible writer who's also got some really good fiction on her site, and
Oh,
everyone
thank
should
you.
check that out. Not only is she an incredible transcriber and writer and journalist, but also an incredible fiction writer. And she's a regular here on Narrative, which is always great to have. And it's always great to have you here on the FiveStack. Thanks for being here today, Ellie.
Thanks for having me.
Have a
Talk to
great
you soon.
day.
See you guys later.
See you, sister.
Bye.
There you go. There's a great success story right there from Substack.
I
That
love
young
her.
lady pounded away and pounded away and pounded away for years. She is now fully capable of running her own business as a writer because of Substack. And you need to have her in your life. She is a Sherpa of information, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
love her. It's like a vibe. It's so cool. She's got
Right?
she's got a great energy.
I know.
I don't know how she does all of what she does, but she does it. And that's
I believe they call it elbow grease.
it must be youth as well because it's a lot of
Yeah,
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, when she's like, I was up till 4 in the morning or 3 in the morning doing this. I'm like, I went to bed at 9:30 last night. I am too old for that schedule.
Well, I was up till 3 doing my AI automation thing, which is it's
Yeah, but you're a
killing me.
nerd.
I know, but
You're like an obsessed AI nerd.
you know what I am now. I've taken on this persona of being this AI nerd, but I also have this real thing about AI. It has no memory. AI remembers only what you did now with it for like the next 5 minutes ago. So if you don't finish your task by in that session, it's forgotten it. You have to start basically from scratch the next day. At least that's my.
It's got to be an AI solution for that.
There has to be. I haven't found it yet, but it's coming. We did only one story out of 5 today, so it's not really the 5 stack. It's the 1 stack, but it's our contribution for.
But we had at least 5 pictures, right? So let's just call those pictures the 5 stack.
Yes.
And to your point, couldn't be more grateful that we've got a couple thousand people that have joined us yet again today to kind of decipher another unbelievable day in the history of what hopefully is a blip in the history of the United States of America. And their attempted fascist heel turn. I mean, to be able to see the videos and the pictures that completely debunk any notion that Donald Trump has tried to force on the American people that he never had anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein. It's a good day. And a very bad day for Donald Trump means a great day for democracy, a great day for America, and a great day for Canada. And the fact that you're here makes us so happy that you walk through this information with us. I would encourage everybody today to go and subscribe right now to narrative.org. That is my friend Zev Shalev's Substack account. Not only does he do a deep dive of his latest piece with Ellie, who you just saw here, in the Greatest Heist series about the Lair, which is Jeffrey Epstein's island, but he also, his series really kind of lets you into what we're looking at now, which is the visual manifestation of what we know to be a horrific organization of horrific individuals and Donald Trump being at the front of that list, that are trying to hold Americans hostage after destroying the American dream for the past 40 years. So please go to narrative.org and subscribe there. Go to deanblundell.com, deanblundell.substack.com. Subscribe if you got a minute. We've got 25% off yearly subscriptions. But more importantly, please share this content, share the work that we do with as many people as humanly possible. Gift a subscription if you have to that MAGA family member that's on the fence. Trust me, it works. Got an email today from someone who was like, listen, I gifted a subscription to a friend of mine who's a close family member friend who was a MAGA guy, and we knew he was on the fence. He now is so grateful for the content that you produce and that your friends produce that he is fully awake. That is really important to share this content.
That's the nicest thing in the world to hear from anybody.
Oh, it's
really
beautiful.
What this work is all about.
It was absolutely beautiful. It's from yesterday's FiveStack, as a matter of fact.
Dean, there's also so much great breaking news on your site, and we didn't even get to the big one today. You were going to share it to everyone. Do you want to just give people a brief headline on the Europe story that you were going to bring?
Yeah. Trump is getting ready to leave the European Union. He's getting ready to pull the United States military, between 80 and 100,000 personnel, out of EU countries that they've spent the last 80 to 85 years curating relationships with. The death of America on the international stage very much at hand. Hopefully this does not happen. But this was a story that we put out this morning that has since gone viral, confirmed by Reuters, that Donald Trump has told European leaders that he's going to pull American assets out, bring them all back home for something, which in 2027, if you're like me, you kind of read those tea leaves, could be a war against South American countries, could be a war against Canada. Could be a war against Greenland. But his goal is to commit to removing every American troop from the United States of America, or from Europe, and to bring them all home for something. And I would encourage everybody to go read it. It is free for everybody. If you feel like it made a difference for you, please become a paid subscriber, free subscriber. I don't care, but make sure you share the story with as many people as humanly possible, because it's a big deal.
It really is a big deal. America needs to understand that what is happening now is fundamentally going to shift the world. There's no turning back when we start pulling all our troops out of Europe. It opens the door to Vladimir Putin to basically start World War III. This is how serious this situation is right now. The world is on the edge of a cliff that if we go over, it's going to be very hard to get back up. So the work that you're doing, Dean, in exposing what's going on with Europe in particular is phenomenal. Everyone needs to read deanblundell.substack.com and share that content everywhere, because it is fundamental and it's existential for everybody. It's, it determines how we will live the rest of our lives. It determines how we will live in the next generation as well. Your kids and their kids. What happens to them will be determined by what happens in Europe and what the United States and Russia do in Europe under Donald Trump. It's vital to read. deanblundell.substack.com.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
No worries. It's totally true. And that is the FiveStack today for Friday, December 12th, 2025. We'll see you next week.
See you Monday.